Let's move away from the markets for a bit and discuss that big announcement that came in early in the morning. GE has announced an open offer for Alstom's 2 listed stocks at a discount to their Friday closing price. GE will acquire up to 6.5 crore shares of Alstom TND at 261 rupees per share and about 1.7 crore shares of Alstom India at a price of 382.2 rupees per share. How will this eventual delisting impact the companies going forward, and what kind of opportunity can you have on these 2 stocks? Joining us on the show now, we have Daljeet Kohli of IndiaNivesh, who tracks Alstom TND closely, and Jagannadham Thunuguntla of SMC Global Securities, who deals in these special situations as well. Gentlemen, a good afternoon to both of you, and thanks for joining in. Daljeet, I want to come to you first. How does this particular deal fare both for Alstom and GE? First up, if you could give us your overview on the entire deal, and then how do you approach these 2 stocks?
Yes. See, first thing is the deal is very favorable for Alstom TND because GE is a very big player and they have a lot of cash available with them. So in any case, Alstom never had any issues related to not having cash or not being able to fund their capex requirement. In fact, Alstom TND is amongst its peers, ABB and Siemens and Alstom. Out of these 3, Alstom is the best placed in terms of technological advancement. So with GE coming in and taking over the energy and grid business, Alstom TND will be more focused towards grid business and transmission business, which is actually beneficial for Alstom TND. Now, how to play this or what will happen after this? See, with this open offer, I think it is just a formality because they are already holding 75% stake. Parent is already holding 75% stake. So they are supposed to give by law that they should be giving it. Now, once GE takes over, then what would be the fate of this company? Normally, if we go by the previous examples, wherever GE has taken over companies, GE has taken over from 2009 to 2014. If you do some analysis, you will find that they have taken over some 10 or 12 companies in the world. And it is a mix of somewhere they have taken over just the assets, somewhere they have taken over the entire company. The 2 big companies which need worth mentioning, Lufin, which is also into energy business, that they got delisted after taking over the entire company. And same way there was one more company which they got delisted. So that means that GE normally would want its companies to be delisted, but it is not going to happen overnight. They are in no hurry. First they will give full options that as long as they can keep on increasing their stake, and if they get it at the right price, they will probably get them delisted.
Okay, so the deal is favorable for both, for Alstom TND, and eventually, of course, GE will delist both companies. But Jagannadham, come in on this. Post the open offer, would you advise buying into Alstom TND?
After this deal, GE for sure will become very, very strong player in Europe. Now, up to now, Siemens is a clear leader. Now, with this acquisition, GE will get a strong foothold into Europe. From the business point of view, it's a big opportunity for GE, as well as this will give good positioning for Alstom as well under the shelter of GE. Now, as far as the special situation of either in terms of open offer or in terms of possible delisting, I think it probably may not make sense to play that play for a simple reason that open offer is a sheer regulatory formality, and delisting is it may happen, it may not happen. Even if it happens, it will be at least 1 year away, because after the open offer completes, the company has to choose the delisting, at least they have to wait for 1 more year. And one can always buy Alstom India or Alstom TND for the business purposes, for the business prospects, for the future opportunities under GE, but not necessarily in terms of possible delisting.
Okay. Daljeet, what's your view on what the fair value of Alstom India is at this point in time, and whether you would go ahead and buy that stock, because of the operational performance, as Jagannadham was hinting?
Absolutely, not Alstom India. Alstom India is into EPC work. So we don't cover Alstom India. We look at Alstom TND. And Alstom TND, we are actually very bullish. At 220 rupees, we first came out with a buy rating with 289 rupees target, which has been achieved. And this is a base case scenario. See, if you actually build a bull case scenario, even in the base case scenario, the earnings in next 2 years will double for Alstom TND, and in the bull case scenario, they'll actually become 4 times. So you are looking at a very big potential in terms of today's price at 289. It will look, it is trading at around 45 times of FY16. But if you talk of earnings becoming double, then that 45 automatically becomes 25 or 22. Right? So actually you are not buying it very costly even at 280, 290 rupees today. So it is actually, the business is going to be very well, and where that bullishness comes from, one, as I told you, that it is the best placed amongst its peers to get the advantage of the technology, which they are far ahead of their peers. Second, the transmission by nature in India has always been an under-invested area. We have seen in last 5-year plan, 2 times we have seen that generation has been given preference, but nobody has invested too much in transmission. Whereas transmission is also equally important, because whatever you generate, you need to evacuate it and take it ultimately to the customer. So transmission is going to be a focus area in next 5 years according to us, and PGCIL is moving towards high-end transmission, which means more technology based, better technology they require. So where Alstom TND will score over its peers also. So even if I give a base case scenario, then earnings which are for FY14, which were around 4 rupees, they will become 9.5 rupees in FY16. And if you talk of bull case scenario, then actually this 9.5 will become 14.5. So we are looking at 2 to 4 times. And if I give a 25 to 30 multiple, which is normal for all these companies, then you will get a target of between 350 to 450 over a period of next 1.5 years.
Okay, so 350 to 450 is your target that you're looking at on Alstom TND over the next 1.5 years. Jagannadham, what would your expectation be on Alstom TND? And also on Alstom, you know, it does have a licensing agreement, a tie-up with BHEL as well. How will this entire open offer really impact its JV with BHEL?
Here, from the sheer playing the stock is concerned, one has to be see it in very clear terms that whoever has looking for a short-term bump in terms of for the special situation, they have to be careful, because considering lots of risk got added to both the stocks in the anticipation of lucrative open offer price by the GE, which actually has not arrived. So to that extent, in the short term, players who have entered for that sense have to play it carefully. But as I said, in terms of business, then it's a different ballgame. But then the traders and investors should have a outlook of at least 1 to 2 years before all this integration completes and it translates into business prospects. Because now, Sonia, as you would appreciate that lots of integration issues will also have to be figured out, and before that translating into business. So, in that sense, interesting development for the company. But we should play out for long term fairly well. But in the short term, one should be clear.
So for the longer term, what would your target price be?
Both are buy, and if it is Alstom India, I think even Alstom India also should also be trading at least should be at least 600 rupees plus, at least in that sense. Even we are not that bearish on Alstom India as well. Even Alstom TND I think should be. I agree with Daljeet in terms of that the target price that he mentioned.
All right, Daljeet, Jagannadham, thank you for joining us and explaining this entire special situation to us. So both stocks look quite favorable on the upside, and it's a win-win deal, of course, for Alstom and for GE. We'll take a break.